So no, he's the developer that I'm the artist. He's the developer. Okay, I'm going to step away for just a minute to heat up my tea, and I'll be right back.
I'm already back. So.
Oh, you're back. Okay, you see, you're early.
Nice.
Do we want to, Howard, just see if your streaming stuff is working and see if you're going to stream properly to the sites?
Yeah, just give me 1 second.
Because we're going to do Facebook and YouTube, right?
Would be good to check right now. I see it on YouTube for sure.
Nice.
It's
Okay,
just the Zoom screen.
Do we want? Okay, yeah, I see that. Howard, just see if you're hearing myself. I hate hearing my voice. Properly to the IGDA. I'm not seeing anything. Oh no, I do. I see it on IGDA.
Oh, IGDA NYC. Yeah, I see it.
I see it. I like the they had the they have text to talk, and man, that they translated that wrong. It was like, "I hate your voice" was what it said. I said, which is great. All right, but yeah, that looks good. So I don't know what Olga was using, but I am seeing the icons for people's faces. I mean, just
okay. What? I just stepped back in. Okay, what's?
We were testing out the stream to make sure it was showing up on YouTube and
it
Facebook,
is.
it is. Yep.
Okay.
So okay, yeah. So right now you can, if you go on either of them, since Howard is streaming from his computer, you can actually see the icons for the people.
Okay, let me just
on
take
screen.
a look.
Yeah, I just have mine up, which is just my sticker blocking my camera. And maybe we can test one of, I don't know, one of you guys could like share your screen maybe, and we can see how that looks.
You can do that.
Cool.
I could try it.
Yeah, let's see how it looks.
Where is it streaming?
On Facebook and YouTube.
Oh, okay, I'm on YouTube.
May need to refresh, but it's on there. All right.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Magic. Huh.
There is quite a delay.
Oh yeah, there is quite a delay.
Okay,
Anyway,
so I'm seeing it on Facebook, but that looks fine.
It looks good. Okay, yeah. That's, we just wanted to make sure that works, so next time we don't have to do that.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I see it on YouTube as well, so looks good. Let's put these right next to each other. Awesome.
The screen share came up. All right. Yeah.
Yep.
It looks good.
Did y'all hear audio from that? Curious.
I did hear some. I just heard the people on Zoom talking, so I actually ended up muting it because there's too much other audio going on. So I think next time, if that does happen, maybe what we do is we just everybody mutes their. So like when someone's speaking, we can all just kind of mute our mics.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That'll be a little easier.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea.
Cool. All right. Well, it is 6:32.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. Cool.
Okay, JJ, you're up.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to IGDA. And, my name is Jaji Chen, and today I have a piece of music that I like to show off here. Took a break from all the game deving that I've been trying to do with Farm Pharaoh here. And I have a piece of music that I recently wrote about several months ago. And I got performed literally 3 or 4 months ago out in some orchestra in Texas. Nebraska Sports Symphony Orchestra. And, well, would you guys like to see the score first or the performance first?
I have.
Um,
It doesn't matter to me.
It doesn't matter to me. I don't know if anybody here reads music, so I don't know if seeing a score.
Oh, okay. So maybe I'll just stick to the performance first.
I
then.
think just stick to the performance. Yeah.
Just only the performance. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Sure. So I'll share screen, and let's see this one right here. So this is the YouTube channel here. That YouTube video of the performance. I'm just gonna skip forward a bit. Just to find that sweet spot here. Just okay. Should I lower the video quality a bit for YouTube video?
Is it just me, or am I not hearing any?
I'm not hearing anything. It's
Huh.
I think it's just too laggy to do this.
This is probably a Zoom thing, actually. Generally, they don't really share.
Ah, Howard is our
Maybe.
resident techno guy.
Well, what's going on? Are you guys seeing the YouTube video or?
Well, it's there's no sound and it's like a pixel at a time. It's really not happening at all.
Oh, okay.
I think we can
So-
actually just share the link between everybody. Go into.
I've heard it. I've heard it. I think it's a very nice piece of music. But yeah, why don't you can you share it in the chat?
Sure. Hold on. Chat and then grab this link and then. Gotcha. Right there.
Okay.
I'm ready to play it. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna mute myself again and play it. Otherwise, we're all gonna pile up on top of each other. Yeah, I like it. Has this game been published yet?
Oh, Judge,
I've
you muted. Yeah, okay.
Well, first of all, I think noise cancellation was doing a bit too good of a job here, but otherwise, okay, back to the question.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a musician, but it's a nice piece of music. But it's this game, the Farm Pharaoh game. That's the name of it, right?
Yes.
Has it been published yet? Is it out yet?
Well, it's been out in stages. Like I've been working on it like when I have the spare time to.
Okay.
So it's like stages.
Yeah, because it's really hard to tell because I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming it's something Egyptian, which you're getting from the music.
Well,
But
it's like Middle Eastern influences, but it's more
yeah.
like how to say it's more like pharmaceutical oriented, I guess. Like just like
Oh, I remember now. You had the molecules.
yeah.
Right. Okay, I remember you because you came to
Microsoft Store.
yeah, to the Microsoft Store, right? Okay, now I know what it is. Okay, so I'd love to see how the gameplay is going.
Well, the gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, have you been working on the game at all, or
A bit, yes, actually, yes. Hold on. Would you like me to share my screen, or am I still sharing?
Sure.
Oh, okay. So I'm still sharing. Okay. So, let's see. Where am I? Hold on. You have to like go to that screen here. Just a sec. Just gotta pull it up a bit. Demo. Gotta pull it up a bit. So let's pull it up here and let's see. Fix this out. Your screen.
You're still on your camera. Oh, there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see what's going on here. Okay, cool. Let's see. Just, yeah, there we go. So here I add difficulty levels here, and then beyond that, yeah, excuse the serif font in the beginning. Otherwise, basically like the levels are sorted based on like the marker size for now. And right now, this thing in Tom Hints would allow us to choose whether we want the game to make a sound if like you're landing on the wrong atoms and so on and so forth. And for now, it's just play using yes, and then API calls will let us like access PubChem and not rather. So it depends on the situation. So I guess like for now, since I'm connected to the internet, I'd hit yes, and then let's see what happens. Okay, so I made some, let's see, I added some new features here. As you can tell, compared to last time I was at the Microsoft Store, I had keys and locks now. So, yeah, in order to get through the locks, you have to get the keys. But because, well, you always gotta get the beakers, yeah. So, here, let's see. We go here and then here and then grab the beaker and then jump in here and see what happens. Yeah. So right now we have another like additional requirement here, and it says like find the longest path possible. That was another new type of additional requirement that I had. And here, like it matters whether you read the additional requirements and took them into account or not, because there'll be like other paths that aren't as long. So you gotta like find the longest path and then like get there, yeah, to the other red target. So yeah,
So, wait, it's unique paths from one target to the other target?
correct.
Okay.
So you can't like reuse old paths. That's why it said unique paths. So let's see. Okay, so this will look like a dead end here. So we might as well just like hit up here and then go this way and then yeah. Or maybe yeah. Let's try a path. Or not, because that wouldn't be long enough. So it's gonna take the green gateway here and then go up here and then see what happens. Okay, so that was technically the correct answer. Yeah. Okay, now another new feature I added was the eye icon here to make the map more dynamic. You go through the eye here, it'll reveal additional gateways that you may or may not want to use. So that was something extra I added, like as a new mechanic.
What was that again? If you go through the eye, what?
It reveals new gateways, new portals that are currently invisible on the map.
Okay, that's a new feature you added.
Correct.
Okay.
So let's see here. Gateways. This way, that way. Okay, so we got the key here. So I'm gonna demonstrate right now, like what happens if you like. Yeah, you need the key. Yeah. So we're gonna have to go through here, and then through here. You know, satisfy the additional requirement up here, and then. Well, let's say argument's sake they didn't see the additional requirement up here, and you didn't take that into account. So if that happened, this is technically like not a route that you want to take. Like here, you start hearing humming going on. That's the atomic hints being activated there. And then this thing will reveal additional gateways, but then let's see. However, if you land here at the red target, it's not gonna register here down here because you did not take the additional requirement into account. So that's one of the things that I did over there. However, if you took into account the additional requirement here, it would pass through. Like, yeah.
So you have added a lot of features.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. I think maybe open it up for questions and comments at this point.
Any questions or comments?
I guess not.
I think just for me, actually, it might be a little bit better if the graphics were bigger. It looks
bigger?
like each, yeah, it looks like each of the nodes, the circles, are actually like kind of tiny. And if
That's
you're
the
not
point.
taking up like each of the circles really, if you're not going to be taking up, because there's like a lot of excess space on the left and the right. So like,
Or maybe turn it on its side.
or maybe like if we're able to like zoom in a little bit, just it feels like there's a lot of white space.
Yeah. I now that yeah, I see what you're saying. Maybe if it went on a diagonal or it used up? Because, well, I think it depends on, are all of your, all of these shapes tend to be vertical, or do they all tend to be horizontal, or it's a mixed bag?
Okay, so the shapes will I guess like when we're saying this is that like as the levels progress, they get bigger and bigger, so more of the spaces that's filled up, and yeah, it gets a bit more crowded later on.
Right, right. Is there a way to, I mean, because I think what Howard brings up a good point, is there a way to just have your, like every time it loads a screen, to have an idea of what the parameters of, like what the outside box of your shape is, so it kind of zooms in automatically if it needs to, just to have less white space? I think it makes it easier to see.
Well, I'm gonna have to like think about that for like.
I just think it's a good point he brought up. That's all.
Good point, because it would require a balance between like automatically letting the computer decide how much space to allocate towards the molecule versus like how much like space, like how many atoms can you jam into one like rectangle.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know how you've got, I mean, like for example, in art software, there's, it'll have something called an art board. So there's like a defined space within which stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
And as that space gets bigger and smaller, stuff around it responds to it. So if you can, I think doing that, I think would actually make it a lot more user friendly. Because like as they get bigger and more complicated, then yeah, sure, you got to pull back a little bit. But especially as people are learning the game, it might make it easier if the things are bigger with the lower levels.
Hmm. Well, I'll try to think about it, but then like,
I think, but it's moving along nicely. I think you've got a lot more done than the last time we saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think scaling the molecules a little bit will give you a lot more room to work with when it comes to the other symbols that you have, because the other symbols are kind of overlaying one another and it feels a little cluttered at the moment. So if you just made things a little bigger, like I think it'd be a little easier to read of like this molecule has a key or this molecule has a lock and whatnot. Just in general, like even just through an accessibility standpoint, like it's kind of small from my screen right now.
Hmm. So, what other suggestions are there to? I don't know, because I chose the color red to like make sure that certain things are glaring.
Yeah, it's just that I think what people are saying is like, it's more of a aesthetic design thing here and an accessibility thing, in the sense that you want things to be really obvious what's with what and easy to read. So like the gameplay, I think the gameplay is fun. It's like it's interesting because you have to figure out all these things and it's humming along. It's just at this point, it's more about, well, I don't want to just say aesthetics. It's also accessibility. It's about, if somebody's playing this on a phone, it's a really small screen, and you really got to think about how easy is it for people to grab, because you're basically only talking visual concepts. So how easy it is for somebody, I want to make it as easy as possible for people to understand the symbols that I'm using and the combinations of symbols that I'm using without having to use a lot of words. And, because, and it's hard sometimes if we're working on something to want to step back and maybe show your friends and ask them, well, does this make sense to you? How would like pull your friends? It's like, well, just like if you were going to draw like the art of this, without talking about the gameplay, just the art of it, what would make it easier to get your point across? Like if I make the molecules a little bit bigger and maybe make the symbols smaller and like to the corner and the side, so it's like easier to read. I don't know. But I would fool around with a bunch of different designs and see what works best.
Mhm.
Gameplay stays the same. You're only changing the
Visuals.
yeah.
Well, admittedly, I do have to admit that like I think accessibility right now is like currently like kind of like in the weak side of it because like I know that like some people have said that they like the color scheme might not be too like colorblind friendly, but
Yeah, but if you want people to play it, because you don't need to know chemistry to enjoy this. If it's if the graphics are compelling, if it's easy to read, it's a good way. It's just a puzzle game. It's not. I mean, it happens to be based on real molecules, but it's a puzzle game. So you got to make it so that it's easy for anybody, even if they don't know chemistry. They have no idea what you're talking about here. They have no idea what toluene is or any of that stuff is, but they get, because you've got the symbols working in such a way that they intuitively understand what they need to do with very little instruction. And I think that right now the gameplay is great, but I think that's where it's kind of weak. And it's a relatively simple thing to fix because it's really just a question of, working on your graphics and it's not even changing your graphics. I think it's like relative sizes of graphics. And I would just I would pool friends. I would like ask people, which design do you think comes across the best? It's like show them, even if you're just sending them JPEGs of stuff. And what's going to make it easier to read? Like maybe a gateway you want it big, and maybe other things you want, like a key can be smaller. Just think about having the graphics themselves tell a story a little bit, or probably in your case, give instructions a little bit.
Right. So I think one of the things that we're sort of getting into is focusing on kind of the information architecture of what your symbols are, right? What is important, what needs to take priority for the players in terms of what they need to pay attention to and kind of understand, right? So you have, right, your beaker is kind of an important piece. Being able to follow the molecules is an important piece, right? The white space takes a little bit of a back seat here, right? And, the size, just like you're dealing with a little bit of sort of structural screen shape issues, right? Like you've got all that white space on the side because you've got a vertical molecule, and you could address that in a number of different ways, right? You could turn the molecule sideways, like somebody was suggesting, or you could just de facto make the screen narrower, or you could just put it in a box so that it looks like it's supposed to be there. And I think that's one of the main things that folks are getting at, but I definitely agree that the size of the molecules is a little bit small, right? It's not kind of big and easy to see and easy to just like, okay, I'm following what's going on here from my information design perspective, right? And I think that is kind of one of the key things that's not coming across is that information design. It's not about making the art like gorgeous, pretty beautiful graphics yet. It comes across to me that you're not quite there yet. I don't know if that's accurate. But like, it looks to me like you've been focusing on kind of like gameplay and music and kind of all these surrounding things. And like, we're really getting ready to make the visuals sing and work with all of the other pieces.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Am I confusing at all? Yeah. I'm also a big chemistry nerd, so I'm already really interested in seeing a little bit more and kind of understanding what's going on there.
So basically, like I just applied graph theory to like chemistry node edge mechanics, and just like went off from there, and yeah, that's what I did with the front there.
Right on.
Yeah, can you hear me over all the pots and pans banging?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, my neighborhood would get into all of that. Yeah, I think
Mine too.
I think we're all pretty much saying the same thing. I mean, I'm an artist, so I couch it in art terms, but it is about the symbology and using just make it easy for people to understand intuitively. And I think that it's maybe because you've advanced so much. I mean, that music is great, right? I think the gameplay has really moved along. The gameplay has become more compelling. You've added more elements to it, and I think it's beginning to, it's interesting now. And I think I like to work in balance, in the sense that if I'm working on a piece of art, you work on one section and then you don't want to overwork any one section, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I don't think you need to completely work out your design and art stuff now, but I would take a moment, metaphorically speaking, and just think about, put the kind of effort of thought into that you've been putting into the other elements, and maybe not get it to a finished point, but get it so that the whole piece is a bit more balanced. Because right now you've got certain elements of it are more highly worked than the graphics. And I think the graphics kind of need to catch up to that. Otherwise you might find yourself in trouble later on.
I think the biggest drawback to that is you start getting feedback in places you're not looking for. And that's a really important kind of thing that's really useful to short circuit by making advances in those places. And that's coming at it from sort of years and years of board game design perspective, right? I hate seeing design, board game designs that are too far along in the graphical sense, because people are like, oh, this looks beautiful, right? And they're not paying any attention to the mechanics. And I think one of the things that you've got here is kind of the opposite situation, where you have not done that. And so you are losing some of the feedback that could be spent in places you're looking for. Not that you've asked for specific places, but that's another thought to keep in mind. But Olga is totally right that that it'll help you get the feedback that you want for everything to kind of feel that it's progressing at the same rate.
By rate, you mean everything in the game, or
roughly level of completion, right? If your graphics are here and your gameplay is here, right? People are going to notice your graphics, right? And they're not going to get feedback on your gameplay. I mean, this depends on your audience too, and how you prime them and what you ask for feedback on, right? You said to pay attention to the music. So I've been listening to the music and I've been thinking about the Middle Eastern influences and that kind of sort of Copeland-esque bit at the end, which was a lot of fun. And so that's what I was paying attention to. And I was really looking at the gameplay because you didn't ask me for that. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah, cool. So hopefully that helps, kind of helps you nail down what to ask for in terms of feedback, and just in general, how to get the better feedback for yourself.
But yeah, I mean, just to close up, I think it's looking really good. I mean, the gameplay is last time I thought the gameplay was a little flat, and now the gameplay, I mean, with the added mystery gates, I think that really makes a big difference. I mean, I think that completely changes the whole tone of the game. Now it's a really interesting puzzle, right? So, yeah, just spend a weekend, it's not, it doesn't, you don't have to finish them. Just spend a weekend thinking about, how can I get my idea across without using words, just with the symbols, just by making them bigger and smaller and their relationship to each other, really. Okay.
So will a tutorial help, or how to play?
I don't think you need a tutorial. You know what you're doing. Just sit there, ask some friends. You know what I would do if you don't know? I would pool a bunch of friends. I would take the setup that you have now,
Mhm.
graphical setup, right? And like do a screenshot of that, and then just like fool around with the shapes and the sizes and see what else you can do. And take a bunch of screenshots and send them out to your friends and ask their opinion, because it really comes down to what do people find easier to read, right? Because that's really what you're going for now. You're not, if you want art, I'll help you, you can hire an artist, but you're not there yet. That's not what you're worrying about. But what you do need to worry about is, like Tim was saying, like level of completion. And just, you don't have to complete it because the whole thing isn't complete, but just like put a little bit of extra thought into just the symbology that you're using, because it's going to make it easier for people to get into the game, to grab the concepts of the game, make it more interesting. Like music makes it more interesting, like adding the extra stuff makes, like the extra gameplay makes it more interesting. This will just make it easier to grasp. And I think, that's pretty much all I have to say.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess Tim is next on the agenda,
Believe so. All
and
right.
it'll be completely over my head, but I'm sure the nerds will get it.
Let's see. Okay. Getting something set. Okay, so hopefully this, I'm just focused on twitching some audio components, and I'm going to share this. And so what you're about to see is, it's going to be an Alexa skill. It's called Mood Magic. My name is Tim Rodriguez. I'm with a company called Boom Integrated. We are focused on doing essentially high quality audio products and assistance. Like, we're kind of functioning as an agency. We've decided to do this as kind of a showcase of what is possible with voice. No, stop it. Hold on 1 second. Focused on, lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, the audio loop back system to try and make sure you get the audio out of this was being buggy. So anyway, this is a skill that is designed for kids age 5 to 7, basically to kind of help teach emotional IQ kinds of concepts, words for like vocabulary for expressing your emotions, and kind of in a fun way. And it's kind of both a showcase skill to kind of like show what we're capable of, but also just generally to for us to be excited about developing cool stuff for this new platform. So let me see if I can get this. All right. So do let me know if you can or cannot hear the audio out of this.
Musical intro, Mood Magic.
And even if you can't,
It's a party for all your emotions, so feel it. We're still waiting for permission to get you that VIP all access pass. But until then, I still want to know, how are you feeling?
Yes, no?
Yeah, it's completely over you though, so it's much louder than you are. But yeah, it works great.
That's great. I'll take it. So how are you feeling? Somebody give me an answer.
Bored.
Was that Howard?
No, that
I've
was
been
just
there.
me.
It's gonna be
Oliver.
okay. These are normal feelings even when they're rough. That said, let's play some sweet games and maybe that'll help you out with that feeling. We can have a dance party or get some feelings facts. Which do you want to do?
Feelings facts.
Get ready, because we're about to play. Feelings. Chka facts. Gonna dive deeper into emotions. Oh yeah, we're gonna do it like this. Answer a question about a feeling, learn something new, and get those stars. Here we go. Thank you, thank you. Oh, this one should be good. Hopefulness. Fingers crossed. Being hopeful is a little different than just thinking everything is gonna be great. With hope, there's always a little thinking that things could still go wrong. But here's the question. Can convincing yourself things will work out actually make things like medicine work better?
Placebo effect, huh?
We have a question in chat. Someone
Being
asked
hopeful is a little
if the
different than just
characters
thinking
are going
everything
to
is
be animated.
great. With hope, there's
So
always a little
as far
thinking that
as
things could still go wrong. But here's the question. Can convincing yourself things will work out actually make things like medicine work better?
So as far as the V1, no. It turns out that the Amazon presentation language, which is how these are done up, is pretty complicated. And as far as timeline, it was definitely determined that that was one of the secondary things that we were looking for. But making sure that they were multimodal for the devices like the Echo Show was absolutely had to be on the table. So this is what we've got for now.
Can we just answer yes?
Sure.
It can. Studies show an amazing 1 out of 3 people who believed medicine would make them feel better did feel better, even when the medicine didn't do anything. That's the power of hope. 31 stars. That's fantastic. Keep it up. Default sound. Let's keep this party bumping. Up for another feelings fact?
Yeah, sure.
My brain feels so much bigger already. That was a ton of knowledge. What's next? We can have a dance party or play Name That Mood. Which do you want to do?
Uh,
I'm gonna override and hopefully send us to the dance party.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna
Yeah.
beg for a dance party.
No,
We've
Name
done a
That
bunch of
Mood.
custom-
Come
Yeah,
on.
Let's
Yeah.
kick it into a dance
Cute.
party.
We've done
I
a
got
bunch
the
of custom
tunes,
music, which
so
I've been
let's dance and
involved
really
in,
feel those feelings.
helping oversee.
Get ready,
And
dance
it's been
partner.
really great.
I made you this sweet mixtape. Ew, there's something sticky on my turntable. It's so gross. I'm gonna clean this up while you rock out to this next song.
It's icky, it's yucky, it's ooey, it's gooey. When you hear that squishy sound, see worms crawling on the ground. Feel those heebie-jeebies all around. Jump back. It's creepy, it's crawly, it's smelly, it's chewy. When you hear that sticky sound, spot green slime on the ground. Ooey gooey gobbledygook. Jump back. It's icky. It's sticky. It's goopy. It's grimy. What's that sound? It's gooey. What's that sound? It's squishy. Jump back. Jump back. Jump back.
So that's your
Here
original?
we go. I had a good time
So
with that one.
we
What do you
commissioned
think?
it. Like
Should we keep this dance party rocking?
Our company is backed by an audiobook producer who's got 25 years in business and a couple of Grammys. So access to lots and lots and lots of composers. So I'm in the responsibility of doing most of the development and overseeing the script and project management and just kind of keeping this whole thing together.
Yeah, so it's very cool. But this is geared for what, kids like what, 6 to 10, something like that?
Like 5 to 7 is kind of our target demographic. What other questions do you have? Like, what are your kind of initial thoughts? I'm very curious to hear.
Just points, like, can these stars be redeemed for anything?
They are in the paid version, they kind of go towards earning levels.
Okay.
To kind of help encourage return visits.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, in the free one, they basically just count up forever.
Oh.
They're counted, but
yeah, so basically it's kind of just gamifying, like, just using the skill every day, basically.
Yeah, it's kind of about using the skill every day. And we think that the breadth of content that we developed in just like, we've got, is it 24 different songs?
Mm-hmm.
So between dance parties and like 24 different feelings, facts, and trivia, and like kind of meditation activities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've been testing it with my cousin, and my cousin has been having a great time with it, and has, in fact, on his own accord, like not just going for the beta test, like, hey, come help your cousin, but like of his own accord has been asking for it. So we take that as a really positive note.
Cool.
My granddaughter, my 6-year-old granddaughter, love this.
Fantastic. Yeah,
she would.
That's the goal. And I mean, one of our driving principles is for this to just kind of give parents like 15 minutes at a time. One of the big kind of interesting, I don't want to say stumbling blocks, but really confusing kind of points is working with Amazon has been an interesting experience, because they'll like ask for things like, we need this to be a 3-hour skill. It's like, what does that mean? Right. And it kind of means, can you reasonably get 3 hours of like content without too much repeating?
Yeah, it also seems to be like, so 3 hours of content, but also 3 hours of engagement. Would you be able to engage kids for 3 hours on a software like this?
Sure, I think so. Yeah, like not in one go. Yeah.
Like, assuming
nobody expects that
not
either.
Completely. Yeah. I guess just a little confused on kind of how it kind of reinforces emotional intelligence. I don't know a lot on the subject, so maybe I'm just kind of like, I wasn't quite sure like how knowing about the placebo effect would help like improve my emotional intelligence in some way. But then, like, this is for kids, and this is definitely far out of my expertise. But I just want to know kind of the reasoning behind making that a feature.
So in general, like, a lot of what we're doing is trying to train vocabulary. So hopeful, here is what hopeful looks like. Here's kind of what hopeful feels like, and what kind of real effect it has. The Name That Mood is takes a little bit of a different tack, where it plays the song and asks them to associate an emotion with the song. So we've got kind of a taxonomy of emotions that we worked with a child psychologist to develop. So, you know, that the song that we heard is our disgusted song. So like something in the category of disgusted or grossed out would be like an answer to what does this song make you think of, make you feel, right?
Okay.
And then we, you know, do little things like, if somebody says, I don't know, we're like, cool, it's okay not to know. guess what? I will just tell you anyway, and I'm going to reward you for having kind of that bravery, right?
Cool.
So kind of like lots of like little details like that go into kind of trying to make a really interesting, robust in terms of voice is really hard, really hard.
Yeah.
Especially once you consider that the quality of voice recognition goes down drastically when you get away from a male neutral accent.
Yeah.
Like you change it to a female voice neutral accent and voice recognition drops about 20%.
Says a lot about the industry, I feel.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Like, I guess something I just want to know is like, obviously we're not the audience you're targeting, but what kind of feedback were you kind of like, is there a question that you'd like to ask us, like after going through that experience that like you need answered by at least another, like a third party of some kind, or is it just kind of general, like, here's what I did, check it out?
Part of it, I think a lot of it is really focused on general, here's what I did. Like we're at the point of kind of certification, but I mean, this is in certain ways pretty new territory, right? And I find it really valuable to kind of like show things to people. Like I've got my gameplay worked out. I've got the music is being handled. The script is done and we're in certification, right? So immediately, what have I not thought of, right? Like what are your initial responses?
I mean, definitely the images are very nice. I guess like I said, I was actually the person that asked the question about, are your characters animated before I came on here. I do notice that sometimes kids do react well, not just like just animation, but it does seem like kind of still, but other than that, like the programming seems to be very solid, or it's in the process of being a solid programming.
Yeah.
What she said. I think that I wish, even if it was just like just a little bit of 2D animation, just to wiggle around a little bit.
You're just like, hi.
Hi, yeah. But other than that, I agree. It's nice. It's very nice. Yeah.
Like so I understand kind of the need for like kind of something visual and all that, but I also just like from kind of a hardware perspective, I wonder how many households actually have an Amazon show, in comparison to say a Echo Mini or one of the little pillar ones. I think, I feel like it's just kind of compromising. Like, look, there's more people going to use this voice only than. I mean, I also could be completely wrong, and like every American family has an Amazon show, but I just feel like focusing on the voice part, which is really the actual content, like in my opinion, is probably the right move to do.
Yeah, and that is supported by data. That said, with Amazon functionally being a client, they're really ambitious about their devices. And so although the Echo Show is not kind of the main player and way to access Alexa, right? They had the Kids Dot, which is an audio only piece, right? That's really specifically tailored to this. So, right, I think we decided that the compromise was certainly the right idea in the short term, given that the installed base is not as substantial, given that the programming of Amazon presentation language is complicated and clunky. And so animating things is its own difficulty in the first place.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Like what, did you hire somebody outside to do your images, or what software did you use to make your graphics?
We hired an artist. It looks like vector art to me, so I don't know specifically what they used. I just got a bunch of pings.
Okay, cool. Are they actually able to, I don't know, how do I say this? Like, I guess I'm just like really focused on the visuals rather than like the programming itself. So I apologize if I'm asking
Oh, no.
visual questions. So.
No, please, it's totally fine.
So I'm also, so as I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking I know she definitely can do the visuals, but what is Amazon Show able to handle? And is that what it's called, or?
Yeah, the Echo Show, like those devices. So the development for the Echo Show is really, really limited. And in some ways, it kind of feels to me like reinventing the web from scratch, which is kind of funny. Because I worked in the earliest days of the web. So it's like, oh, we're back in 1996 when I was writing CSS for the first time again. So yeah, I mean, it's basically like the APL documents can do things like stacking image layers. So there are some image layers that are stacked. Theoretically, we could have Missy on a CSS animate loop that moves around the screen.
Would that be possible to add like a GIF, like an animated GIF with like a clear background?
GIFs are a non-starter. It supports pings and JPEGs.
All right, pings, and they can't do animated ping sequences either.
Yes.
They don't, or they do?
I don't think so. To the best of my knowledge, they don't. And the documentation is pretty specific, and in general, a lot of the aspects of this feel very underpowered compared to what we might be accustomed to, even just developing for like a website, right? For like, all the fancy things that HTML5 can support, much less a dedicated compilable programming language. Yeah. Yeah, it's basically like
this. I didn't know you were actually creating it for like a whole new system. I just looked it up. I just looked up Amazon Show, and it's like, oh, it's sort of like an Echo Show, right? Is that it?
Yeah, the Echo Show. Yeah, it's got like a little 5-inch screen that's like 800 by 600.
So I did not realize that you were. I thought you were just doing something for Amazon or something.
Yeah, no. These will be device specific, right? All of the audio comes through, delightfully low quality as compared to kind of the things that I'm used to, and certainly the audio geeks at John Marshall Media are used to. I have to make sure to like turn the quality way down, right? It's almost like telephony quality audio. If you have any idea what that means as compared to high resolution audio.
I'm honest, I know nothing of audio engineering of any sort.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically like saying, oh, hey, we have this really big, beautiful graphics. Now do it in like index 256 colors.
Yeah.
Which I think probably translates a little bit better, right? As an analogy.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's what I've got.
I have a question. An oddly consequential question. Is the program allowed to know the child's name? Like, on one hand, it'll allow for more personal connections, and then, like, on the other hand, like, there's privacy concerns.
Yeah. So this is being developed specifically for Amazon's Free Time Unlimited walled garden space. That is, if you're not familiar with it, it's like Apple Arcade, but for kids, and all for Amazon's Amazon Alexa. So American Girl skills and Barbie skills and various and sundry animal related things that are all for kids, and they all have like unlocked premium content for a subscription price that you pay to Amazon. So COPA is a really big deal. So one of the ideas that we had was kind of a regular check-in and kind of tracking, hey, you've checked in and like are doing mood things 3 days in a row. And that ran close enough to both certain developmental limitations, but also privacy considerations that we axed that as a concept. Really what it is that COPA basically says you can't collect personally identifiable information, PII, for those who ever think about or dealing with regulated data. And so we definitely don't, right? All of that sort of thing has to be really specifically authorized. And for the most part, for kids, if you're going to get into it, that is kind of the main thing that you're doing. We're certainly not interested in doing that as a main primary focus. So we're just like, okay, we're just going to widely dodge the boundaries of the COPA regulations. But it's definitely something that we thought about and we're considering. And actually, the harder thing, it's easy not to run afoul of them if you know where the boundaries are. And then you run into something like Amazon's policy that where strong emotions are something that could be considered a policy violation. And that essentially comes down to Amazon is unwilling to take a stance on topics that they think that a parent is better position. Well, I'm not going to say suited for, but really, it's Amazon is not interested in like one of the songs that we had some cool climate change related topics, and they're like, no, we're not having that discussion. We're not getting parents angry at us because
they are your main clientele. They're the ones that buy your stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like whatever the reason. It's like that is their philosophy is we are not trying to take real positions on big things. That is something for a parent to decide, and only for a parent to decide, and you can't touch it, right? Okay. So we are not allowed to touch it because Amazon has decided that they don't want to touch it.
Yeah, it's kind of like how I think when it comes to writing stories. So sometimes I just heard rumors, but I'm not sure if it's true, but I'm not sure. Does anybody watch any Voltron from Netflix or anything like that? Or am I the only kid that watches animated shows? I'm not a kid,
animated things.
Not me. Sorry.
I mean, I watch them. I just haven't watched Voltron because of the discourse. But yeah.
But there was some discourse about the subject. Like a lot of the writers said we didn't want to get backlash about, I guess, one of our characters being gay. So it's like we kind of just dodged it by having him have like one episode mentioning that he is gay instead of making him. And they said the reason why they didn't go further with it was because they didn't want a backlash against parents also.
Right.
I wonder if that was Netflix or the concern about parents. I feel like it was Netflix.
I don't know about that, actually. Like, Netflix will push a lot of borders in a lot of ways, it seems. But I could easily see sort of like an individual production not wanting to sort of risk audience that way.
Yeah. But then ironically, I think their biggest, like one of the big community that was growing is the LGBT community. So it's like who they try and like placate the angry parents, the LGBT community. It seemed like a no-win for them or anybody.
Yeah. Anyway, that's me. I'm excited to see what else is coming up.
Okay, well, Michael, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, I think
Yeah,
we're
I'm
up.
ready to go.
We're up. Uh-huh. Oh, is there still somebody waiting to get in? Should be.
It's typical New York events. Like, yeah, people are coming in still.
Oh, are you sure you're not talking about me?
No. I mean, I'm not getting any messages about, I mean, I'm new to this, but I don't see anybody manage participants. I don't see anybody waiting. Are they actually waiting?
I'll ask him again just to make sure, but we can go back to you guys.
Okay.
Just tell me when you wish for me to begin.
Okay. Oh, so shall I do the preamble? Here we go. Yeah, I'll do the preamble. Okay, so this is, let me switch screens. I just dug up a,
All right.
yeah, let me just quickly show you. I dug this up.
Hello.
Hello. Let me get back to my Zoom. Where's my screen sharing? Okay. This is an idea I came up with like 5-6 years ago. You guys, oh, wait, I have to share. This little guy here. And the idea was so the concept of the game was that there's this little robot and he's in a maze and he has to get out and all he's got is this light bulb on top of his head.
Oh.
And okay, Michael, back to you. I just wanted to show the drawing. And so everything else is dark and you have to find your way through this maze. And that's as far as I got for a long time. And I like the idea of a robot with a light bulb on his head. And it was banging around my head for a while. And then I found Michael and Michael's willing to do it with me. So we're actually going to do this thing.
Nice.
And we're in prototyping. That's the old model from forever ago, but so I'm going to redo that. There's no animation or anything. Okay.
All right.
Show the magic that you've made, and then I'll show the meshes that I've made.
So the goal is there's the maze, and you need to find a way out of it. But there are traps and enemies in the maze that will prevent you from getting out of it.
So there's our first enemy.
It's a mine. It's more of a trap. It's a mine.
Oh.
But we haven't implemented the enemies quite yet.
That's so cute, though.
And he has the life is he's got a battery, and he's got this battery on his. He's got a battery that's feeding the light bulb on his head. If the light goes out, you die. If you run, if you get killed, you die. So you have 2 meters. You have a meter for battery life, and you have a meter for life. And he can pick up battery life, and then you have to pick up keys and go through traps and other obstacles in order to. So you grab a key, and then you have to find the lock to the door to the next level. And you got to get through all this stuff to do it. And in the meanwhile, your battery life is going down. So you have to, the traps are designed in such a way that it's a playoff between time and battery life. And, without getting into the intricacies of it right now, but it's basically, that's the playoff. So you've got these 2 things going on.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
All right. What's ahead is a more dynamic trap. These mines move.
This is the pinball machines. Pinball machine things, they're bouncing. Okay.
Okay, but there is an off switch here.
Oh, and if you turn off the mines like he just did, if you turn off the trap, you get a bonus. So you get a special bonus for turning it off, but you also, so again, it's a playoff on time versus, are you going to take the extra time to turn off a trap? But also, if you turn off that trap, you will get something special.
Mhm.
So, and it's also procedural. So, as you run, and also you're running back and forth. The way the actual maze will be designed is that you run back and forth through these levels as you progress. So you're going to hit certain areas more than once. So as you pass through them multiple times, if you do different things, you will get different goodies.
I like that, because it gives.
Oh, you just died. He just ran out of battery life. Oh,
I did it
sad.
on purpose.
That's cool.
Mhm. Like, are you going to do your own animation? I know a site that can save you time on animation if you don't want to look for one.
No, I'll buy a rig, but I'll probably end up doing my own animation.
There's a site called mixammo.com. It's an
Nix ammo or mix ammo?
Mixammo.
MIX, like Michael.
MIX, yes, ammo.
Okay.
Yeah, it's has pre-animated things, and you can actually rig your character. It does the rigging for you.
Cool. Yeah, because I'm not an animator. I'll do it. It just takes me 5 times longer than it would take an animator to do it. But yeah, right now I'm working on the environment meshes. So after he stops blowing things.
I like it.
Amazing.
That's cute.
Great job.
Tips over.
It gives you the attention to you have to be wary of the traps. You have to be aware of your
Yeah. It's and there's the traps themselves will have some of them anyway will have a certain puzzle element to them, and the story is that you're there is a boss, and you're basically working the art / story, because the story is the art. That's about it's very basic, but essentially from an artistic point of view, the levels, you're moving your way up through an archaeological dig, if you will, of junk. It's a junkyard. So the first level will be like a steampunk. The next level, which is the one that I'm working on for the demo level, will be like a 1950s. And then we're going to have like a 60s, 70s flower power, then like an 80s 8-bit. And then it'll end up with like a futuristic level.
Yeah, you guys remember how in Portal 2 there was the past laboratory of Aperture Science showing stuff that Aperture Science was doing in the 1970s and 80s?
Yes.
We wanted to go for something like that.
That's fine.
I think you succeeded in that as well, because I'm getting Portal 2 vibes just from looking at the game right now.
Yeah, and I hadn't thought of that, but it does kind of have a Portal 2 element to it.
So what I'm actually sort of thinking about right now is how to handle visibility for when you're behind a wall like this.
Yeah.
Now, I added it so
we could make it, we could kind of make it semi see-through.
What do you guys think? How would you guys handle that?
I mean,
I'm no
like having the wall be translucent when. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that seems like the standard thing to do, right? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems the easiest logical.
Is there like, I guess what I'm wondering is there a concern of like why you can't do it that way? Is there something in the game that
I would also, to minimize it to a certain degree, I would tilt the camera up just a bit more to have it a bit more up over top than what you have here. I mean,
another method.
I never conceived it as a fully top down, but a sort of semi top down.
Okay.
So, but I think any corners where I would do them translucent.
Yeah, so I guess you can try both methods and see which is best for the game.
Yeah.
I think you could also reasonably play with that depending on what level you're in, and if there's sort of like a power up that
That's a good
makes
idea.
that switch.
That's a good idea.
Like this seems really ripe for using the environment to kind of tell stories and sort of showcase kind of the advancement. So that's really exciting, I think.
Michael, can we switch over to my screen? Because I made up a little mock-up of some of the environment meshes I have made so far. They're, for the most part, done. I mean, I'm still tweaking them.
All right. You can share.
Okay, thanks. All right. So this is, like I said, the 1950s level. So it's like, it's a junkyard and you've got like these.
Very nice.
Reminds me of Half-Life. I'm a huge
Which
Half-Life
software
fan.
did you use to make this?
I'm sorry?
Which software are you using? Or
I use Substance Designer and Maya. These are very, very basic meshes. For the characters, I'm going to use ZBrush.
All right.
This is the conveyor belts. Let me actually make this a little smaller. Oh, you know what? I have it on I can't get, the player is very basic. Right now I have, it won't do more than one material at a time. Why isn't it working? What's going on?
So you can only do one texture at a time to bring?
It's just this player. So this is just the animated portion of what we were just looking at. And this is going to have like all these laser beams.
Right.
You know, that's part of the trap. So it's a question of it's either going to not do anything about your battery life, or it's going to add battery life, or it's going to subtract battery life. But as it does it, it's going to we haven't figured out the rules exactly. It's going to like reverse course. So it's a puzzle within a puzzle. So that's going to be one of the traps. And then this is what Michael showed you. I still have to check out the animations, just messing around with it. But this is the those bouncing mines. So it's like a pinball machine.
Nice.
It's kind of, it's going to have a 50s vibe. And then there'll be like wrecked cars and stuff for, to hide behind. And then the enemies are going to be based on 1950s canister vacuums.
Did you get inspired off of Half-Life a lot? Because I'm getting a lot of...
I haven't played Half-Life in years. No, I mean, now that you say it, I mean, I suppose I played Half-Life and I thought it was a great game, but that was years ago, but everything sticks in your head, I guess.
I mean, to be fair, I feel like it kind of resembles like old school Fallout, like 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm a Fallout person. So if anything, it's Fallout.
I was thinking Duke Nukem myself.
Yeah, but I mean that's kind of what I mean. I want it kind of cartoony and old. I want it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely cartoony. But I like the idea of having cartoony mixed with more or less realistic textures has always kind of really interested me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
My stuff was actually kind of inspired by the game Robo Rally.
Oh yeah.
That.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of the caution aesthetic, the black and yellow.
Yeah.
If I remember
Controlling a robot.
correctly.
yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. It's just like it was in there. I mean, this is the level that I thought of when I started doing it, and it's kind of sequentially it's going to be number 2, but this is the one that was in my head. So this is the one I did. I had a lot of fun making these signs.
That's amazing, though.
No.
I did it. I had to figure out a way of doing it. I actually did it I started with Photoshop, and I did I got a whole bunch of fonts on DaFont, and I made them in Photoshop, and I made my height maps and all that stuff in Photoshop, and I just put it into Substance. I just did it on flat sheets and I just extruded out the back. It was just like basic stuff. But, because I had tried all kinds of fancier things and they didn't look right because these are just stupid and straight and, a lot of spline curves. Yeah.
And
so
the
that's
good thing about Photoshop is that you get to mess around with the fonts to see
Oh, yeah.
how they
Yeah.
would incorporate. And honestly, the signs are my favorite part of
Yeah,
the
I had a
whole
lot
design.
of I had a lot of fun making the signs, and it's going to be procedural because Michael is a genius. Back to you, Michael. And the so each time you load it up, the puzzle's going to be, I mean, the maze is going to be different.
So what we wanted to do is make sure that we can make a fun, manually designed maze before we can make a procedural one.
Oh yes, I know. He keeps telling me I have. Yes, of course. But the ultimate goal is to have the computer spit one out, and I think that's going to make it. I think that'll make it great because you can play it more than once. Because once with something like this, you play it once or twice and you've got it. You put it down. But I think if you have it switch out, then I think it's got more playability.
I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day about his love for Metroidvania style games and kind of the way that those have developed over time. And this reminds me a little bit of that model, which is really cool.
Yeah,
it's great.
I'm having fun with it. It's this is my first game. I'm new to all of this. This is I come out of a different field, so I'm finally getting to do this thing that I had in my head for a while, and I think mostly confidence about actually, because it's a new medium for me, and so I'm not, you're putting yourself out there in a medium that you're not entirely comfortable with. So I think you have to get ready to a certain extent and like psych yourself up. But I'm there now. That's it. It's out in public now.
Superb.
Yeah. So we'll keep you posted.
So I was just wondering, like, other than taking bodily damage and your battery running out, like, are there things that the robot does that take more battery? Like, I'm just trying to think of kind of what decisions you can make that might not be I just want to know kind of more about the
the puzzles are all designed with exactly that dynamic in mind, that you are constantly having to make choices between speed and because you're rewarded for getting through fast and you're rewarded for and battery life. So you it's how quickly you're moving through the maze versus how much battery, so you're constantly having to weigh those two things. And that like for example, that belts, those conveyor belt things, the concept of that entire puzzle is that, do I go through quick and have it suck life out of me, or am I going to go through slower and maybe gain a little bit of battery life? So it's always, the way that we're designing it, the way that we're designing all of the challenges are with that in mind.
So I have a question. This is probably a coding question. Programmer. So I'm seeing the video of the playthrough and stuff like that, and it seems like I can't tell from my end. It looks like when you touch the yellow thing, it takes like a while, like a few seconds to say that you touched it in a way. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's something I just need to smooth out. It's a polish thing.
Okay.
My guess is it still thinks it's a solid collision, and I just need to replace it with a trigger collision.
So what is the yellow thing? Is that the key?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how do you control speed? Because I don't have like the keyboard or controller out in front of me, so I'm not sure how what button does what. And is it like you hold down it goes faster, or is it like kind of a gear shift where it's like slow, medium, fast?
Hold down, you go faster. So then it's not great game feel, but it works for a prototype.
Yeah, something I'd be interested in seeing is kind of having some, like, it feels more of a decision instead of just kind of an instinct thing if you kind of have those like set speeds, and also feels kind of more robot-y kind of deal. Because like because speed and battery life are the two things that you're really kind of looking at right now. And I think for the next prototype, you should play with the idea of just kind of like setting a speed and then like having that just be like static values.
We could also make it a pickup, because there are like I said, turning off traps, there are goodies. We have, like there are pickups for example, illuminating the maze for a certain amount of time. And we, again, we're working on those, but I think that what you're bringing up a very valid point. And I think maybe the ability to go faster is something that you pick up.
Yeah. Actually, just thinking about power and light, I'm getting a Five Nights at Freddy's sort of vibe, to be honest. Very original Five Nights at Freddy's, but very much there's a similar conservation of power and action theme going on there.
Is it a horror thing? Because I don't play horror games.
It's a horror thing, but
like Freddy, as in Freddy Krueger. Yeah, I've never played that.
No. It's all the kids know about it. I just watch the Let's Plays and watch people. Yeah.
It occurred to me.
Student that loves that game, he wants to make his own game about it. I'm like, okay.
It occurred to me that a fixed level model might be something that is really appealing for speedrun players. And that might be something to just keep in mind for a future sort of like, here's an idea.
What do you mean by speed? What you mean, like people that just want to try to keep beating their own time?
Yeah. Time trialing again.
Wait, I mean, it could be an option.
Like a difficulty option, like a speed 1 difficulty option where the player has the choice to either go like a horror type of.
No. I think what you mean is that you want to be able to play it again and again on the same thing.
Right. Yeah, like an exact same level to try and master a level and put it best time.
I can't imagine it's a difficult thing to have a toggle says, please don't change my game.
Right. So the game Space Team does this in an interesting way for their tournament mode. Basically, you enter a strict seed, and then that seed creates exactly the same level. So everybody in the tournament
All right.
the same seed.
Yeah. I think just having a set seed is probably. I mean, just
problem solved then.
Yeah, there you go.
So you just choose. You want an alternating seed, or you want a set seed, and
yeah. So.
All right, cool. Well, problem solved. That was easy.
Generally, a lot of what people do now is they have a set story mode in which they make the players finish the regular or set seed, and then once they finish that, they get to unlock a procedurally generated one.
Yeah, I mean, there is a loose story. The loose story is that you are being chased. The little robot is being chased by the evil spider-like boss, who is just the owner of this giant junkyard, and his job is to mash little robots. And at the very last second, right before he gets into the masher, he finds a duct and he dives in and he goes way down. And he's actually going through all these levels of junk that has piled up over the centuries. And he ends up in what will be the steampunk level. And in this little room that he ends up in, there's a battery and there's a light bulb, and he takes off the thing that was on his head and he puts on the light bulb onto his head. And I don't know if he finds it in the original room or not, but at some point there is a pair of steampunk glasses that give him the ability to shoot. So he does have a laser. Off he goes. And now he's trying to get back up to the sunshine and freedom. That's the story. Complicated.
We definitely need a boss battle now.
And at the end there is a boss level, and the boss. That's why he's spider-like, because I already kind of have an idea. It's good. The map is moving the map is changing as you are You have to slot them. It's like a map that is also a jigsaw puzzle, and you kind of have to do things in order to slot the map together in order to get out. So that's your boss.
I just have a question. This is probably something to think about in the future, so I don't know if you can answer it now, but like, do you plan on having the battery life reset every level, or are you planning to have the battery life be one constant throughout every single level?
I hadn't given it much thought, Michael.
I was originally planning to reset it, but it can go either way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I always imagined it resetting, but I don't have any strong feelings about that one way or the other.
I have a thought for you on that front.
A difficulty level?
Conceptually, you might have like this robot be solar powered, so that light, being able to stand in a light, is beneficial.
Right.
And so end of levels can just be like, oh, here's a little grow lamp that you can just like stand under and kind of soak up.
Yeah, have a special ultraviolet light.
Yeah,
that looks very different from everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no, that makes
that automatically brings you to 100%. Boom.
That definitely makes it. That makes, like, I can imagine like there'd be bits of light in the mazes where you can just stand in them for a bit and get some charge back, and maybe.
Well, that's what those cubes he keeps running into. That's what those are. Those are batteries.
Oh, okay.
They're spread out throughout the environment, and you can. That's the thing. So you got to decide: am I going to take a short route that has no battery, for example, or am I going to take a slightly longer route, but I can see a battery there? And
I mean, I think there's also the possibility of, say, there's a spot of light, but in that light there is also, say, like a landmine, and then you have another choice of, do I get battery power in exchange for health, or
I think that's that concept. I kind of like it, but I see it as a concept for a special trap.
I don't know if it has to be a trap. It's
no, I mean, like what we in our jargon are calling traps. In other words, challenges within there. Like there are rooms that you have to pass in order to get out. You have to pass through rooms that contain challenges, and you have to make choices whether you're going to take a clean route that has enemies or so each route you take has certain positives and negatives to it. And anything that is a stationary or semi-stationary thing that is an actual sentient thing that's running after you, we're calling a trap. So like whether it's a mine or whether it's those conveyor belts, which is more, the conveyor belts are more of a puzzle. So I see like what you're saying, where you literally have to make that trade-off. I see it as more of a puzzle thing where you have to stand in front of something and make a choice that I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that.
It's like a player choice, like the players choosing what to do. Like I can go this route where there'll be less traps, but I still have low battery life.
Exactly.
Well, there's also the whole light thing where your visibility slowly grows less over time, and the way it feels right now, it's really hard to decide between routes, just because like you have these high walls and all that.
Well, that's the other thing. First of all, it's going to be more top down, so you're going to get a better idea of where you are spatially. Second of all, the other very important thing that I didn't mention is that as you pass through a completely darkened room, you'll notice that like all the stuff that I'm making has a lot of emissives in it. So as you enter a room, all the emissives in that room will stay lit. So while you yourself have the bright light around you, once you've been in an area, it will be visible to you and its route will be recognizable because it will be lit by emissives of whatever sort, whether it's, neon signs or, the tail lights of cars sticking up out of the ground, whatever. But whatever it is, I'm making sure that emissives will mark the route.
So you're kind of getting breadcrumbs on top
I'm
of
giving
everything
breadcrumbs
else.
going back. So once
Yeah, no, that's
you've hit
great.
something, once you've hit something, you can find your way out. So the map slowly lights up, and the way I've conceived it is that important areas will always be emissive. So like your keys, for example, or your batteries will always be emissive, even in a completely black field. You have to figure out how to get to them. And once you've figured out that route, if you take a top down, I think we'll probably have a way of sort of getting an overview of what you've done so far. I think that's only fair. But if you haven't visited it, it's pitch black. You can't.
So it's like Metroid
You
in
can
a way.
you can see something's there. So in other words, you'll have a field of pitch black with a throbbing emissive goodie in the middle of it.
And
you have to figure out how to get there.
I just kind of feel that, like, I think it's more the micro decisions that you're making that are the interesting part, rather than the macro routing decisions. Like the tiny decisions you make in a room are more interesting at the moment than just the wider picture of like trying to get through the maze.
Right, but you still have to figure out how to get out, and the battery. In other words, certain batteries will be permanently able to give you energy. Others that you can't. They're not forever batteries. There'll be like one central battery per level that will always give you juice, but the other ones will have a limited use. So,
I mean, this is all a prototype. I'm just like, right now, it feels like I am more interested in creating mechanics for those particular rooms than necessarily just traveling throughout the entirety of the maze.
Well, that's kind of what we're concentrating. I mean, that's what we're doing right now, is we're concentrating on creating interesting stuff in the rooms themselves.
Mm-hmm.
At least I am. I mean, right, Michael?
Yeah, that's what I'm concentrating on too.
Yeah. So, I think the maze will kind of take care of itself. I'm worried about themes and art because that's my job to worry about themes and art, but we're also worrying about like the actual logistics of what happens in each particular situation within this level.
When did you start this?
Yeah, no, I think you're at a really interesting point where some of those where your kind of artistic and thematic choices are becoming a direct impact into what the game is in terms of what the players do. And I think that's one of the things that I think it was Oliver was getting at, right? Because what I think we're both seeing is that you've got a very exploratory kind of mechanic going on, right? And in like, while you're showing us a really exploratory feeling mechanic, you're telling us about puzzles, which is a very different conceptually,
right?
Just in terms of like what that feels like. And so there's a disconnect there. And
it could go
either way. And it could go either way. And like there's no wrong answer there.
No, you're right. It is something to think about though.
So like, just
make a choice.
well, not just make a choice, but like make a strong choice that supports the game that you want to make.
Yeah.
Right? That's the biggest thing that I think is I think that's my read of what Oliver was getting at.
No,
yeah, right.
You pretty much hit the nail on the head of just like it. Yeah, right now it just feels like the focus is very much on the rooms, which it like, you want these rooms to have things in it and all that stuff, but I'm just kind of wondering, like, is the maze aspect necessary? I mean, at this point, that's what I'm thinking, because it's a prototype. Like, a lot of things are.
Yeah,
still
no, I hadn't. I mean, this is why you get critiques, because I think it's a very valid. It's a very valid observation.
I know as a visual person, you definitely want to see how it looks, but I think, does your teammate focus on how it plays?
Yes,
So-
yes. Yeah, he's the developer. I don't do code, so I do only the assets.
Yeah, so maybe he can, is he able to still just at least bring like blocks in the way so it just showcase how the maze is going to end or how?
Yeah, I mean, we're not, honestly, the way that I see what you're saying, Oliver, and I'm going to I don't have an answer. I have to think about it, but it's an important thing to think about. And I thank you for bringing it up.
No, like, just, I think that's the goal. Like, bring it to your attention, right? It's
Yeah.
not I don't think that it was an attack. And
Oh,
it's
I never took it as an attack.
no, I don't think you did.
Just like our
Just like making sure we say that for everybody.
Yes, but that being said, I guess if I had to make an answer now, I think I would probably lean towards the exploratory nature because I really didn't think about more than a couple of traps per level. And I think, again, I'm gonna have to give it some serious thought. And Michael and I are gonna have to discuss it.
what you're showing us is really interesting, and I think it's great.
But I think it's now is the time to also make that decision because I may not have been making games my whole life, but I have been in the art business my whole life, and mushy is mushy and decisive is decisive, and decisive is always the right way to go. So
That definitely holds true across industries.
yeah. So, and now is the time to make those decisions when we're prototyping. I think because of my nature, I probably lean towards the exploratory aspect of it. But I think I have to make the decision now as to, is it an exploratory game with a puzzle aspect, or is it a puzzle game with an exploratory aspect?
I have an idea for a trap if you would like to hear it.
Sure.
So I'm gonna have to leave a little bit earlier, but thank you guys for having me. Hopefully.
Oh, great, Tamara. Nice to see you. Come
Nice
again.
to speak with you. Hopefully we do this again. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Take care.
So the idea for the new trap that I had in mind was, say the player gets hit with a spinning rotator that comes out from underneath the ground. It would, leave like a debuff effect on him where like he's unable to move, like he's static. The mining fields, from what I've saw, just do damage. So have like a rotator or like spikes that if a player randomly steps on one by chance, the player gets his battery sucked out, just like not too much, just like maybe 1%, and probably have him stay static for like 5 seconds.
Okay, that's another way of doing it, but that's kind of what we were doing with the mines that we had already.
Oh, okay.
All of those things.
Mhm.
There's a lot that goes into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
having the
like-
player stay in place for a bit isn't really that interesting unless there's a reason they don't want to, or even a reason they would want to.
Right.
I'd like to make a suggestion of just a game that I feel would probably at least help you see what a exploratory game with kind of your constraints looks like. I'll
go
put it in
ahead.
the chat, but it's called Minute. It plays like
Minute, like as in a minute of time?
No, it's like MINIT. It's spelled weird, but basically the premise of the game is basically just a Legend of Zelda game where you do quests and you like explore a world, but your character only lives for 60 seconds at a time.
Oh, I think I heard about
That's
this.
clever.
Yeah, I need to play
I'm
that.
a
I need to take a
huge
look
fan
at
of
that.
Legend of Zelda. Huge.
Yeah, it's
That sounds very interesting.
yeah, I think that it kind of it shares similar DNA with the idea that you have right now of having like
cool.
So
I will check it out this weekend for sure. That sounds
Same here, man.
it sounds like it's a Siamese twin.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
no.
mean they're doing some interesting things. I think you can get some inspiration from.
Yeah, it's early days yet. There's a game doc and it keeps growing and it doesn't keep growing like in a bad way. It keeps refined, I think is probably a better word. because growing is not good. But you know, it's organic, and I think we're, you know, I like getting critiques. I've always liked getting critiques because it's you get so wrapped up, you get so caught up looking at a particular tree that you start to lose sight of your own forest. And I've just always been a big believer in like showing my work as I work it, because I think it, you know, getting feedback is important. There goes. Die, robot, die. I have him though. I have, now that I see him running around, I gotta.
It's like, even though the mining fields work, I felt like that idea with the static trap would really challenge the play even more.
Those conveyor belts, those are going to hold you static, because that.
Okay.
So you can't run on those. You're like static on those. So I'm already kind of using that, but
I like that idea.
Getting moved along by the conveyor belt. And as you get to, you can switch the directions of the belts. But if you switch the direction of the belt, it's going to change the charge in some way. We have to figure out the rules for that.
It's like, you can't use the conveyor belt. You have to do this the hard way.
Well, you can only, if you're going to switch something, you're going to switch everything on it. So you're going to switch the direction. But if it's giving you battery life now and you switch the direction, it might end up taking away battery life instead.
I like that. That.
You might go in the direction that you want to go, but you're getting battery life sucked out of you as you do it.
It's like a chance. You have to take a chance.
Yeah, we still haven't figured out the rules for that one. But yeah, I don't, oh God, Oliver, why did you do that? Now you're making me think.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
I know. But it's a good thing. It's an important one. I really do think we need to decide, because if I do, then I'm going to concentrate more on roving enemies as opposed to traps. And I think if it's more exploratory, I think it's probably have more roaming enemies just on a random, like in, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, food for thought. I will keep you posted.
Is exploratory versus puzzle genre like necessarily like mutually exclusive, or?
Oh, it's not mutually exclusive, but I think Oliver brings up a good point that I got to pick a primary. We got to decide what's its main thing. Is it exploratory with the occasional puzzle, or is it a lot of puzzles and you have a pretty clear idea of where you're going? I'm just, my instinct tells me I want to do it exploratory.
And that's fine, This gives me an exploratory vibe when I look at this. When I'm looking at it, the fact that you got to maneuver around, figure out what's the best way for the puzzle.
Yeah. It's got both. I just, I think it's a valid point that, I have to concentrate on, because I think it'll make a better game, because it'll feel like it's like it has purpose. And now it has no purpose yet. I mean, it has a story. I have an idea in my head, but it really doesn't have any purpose.
Right. Your efforts will be focused.
Yeah.
Towards like a real goal.
A real goal. Because right now I think, we both started out, we're making a demo level. So I think we're kind of just, hey, let's think up some cool stuff, which is great.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. But, I think what with Michael isn't showing you everything he's come up with. He's also come up with the mechanic for the conveyor belts. So, I think we're at the point now where we have, we've thrown a bunch of stuff out there. We like what we have so far. And it's time to start putting a little bit more planning in it, because now we have more to work with. In other words, we can take this mechanic and put it in the next level too, for that matter.
More to work with, feedback.
Yeah. So I think that's good food for thought. But otherwise, I'm pretty I'm pretty pleased with what we've done so far.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do need to leave soon.
I need to leave soon too. I need to eat. And I think we're coming up to the end of our time. We've got 10 minutes till our 2 hours. I think we can, but I think is there anybody else showing stuff? Michael. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Michael, you leave when you need to leave, and Michael, show your stuff.
Okay. Michael, because my name's Michael too.
The other Michael could leave. You can show your thing. Screen share button's on the bottom.
Okay.
I'll stick around for 10 more minutes.
So I'm gonna be sharing my screen. Just give me a sec.
Okay.
Can anybody see?
Yep.
Yep.
You can see it.
Perfect. Now, what this game is called VersaBot, Save the World. I'm a programmer for the team and stuff like that. So
for the team at Hunter, for those of you who don't know.
But for the team at Hunter, in Howard's group, I'm in Clarity Games. This is my first time programming and stuff like that at a game. So I'm honored to be in Howard's group. So without that, let's get into the game. So the objective of the game is VersaBot. This is about the character. This is a recycling game. And he's collecting these bottles to preserve the nature from pollution and stuff like that. So as you can see, I made the movement for him. Yeah, I made him jump. He can jump in the air. He also has the ability to control himself in the air. So because I added the air control, I'm still messing around with the movement and stuff like that because I'm trying to find out what the perfect jump is right now. So we have a lot going into the game as well. We're planning bosses out and stuff like that. So we're trying to get as much done as quickly as possible.
When he jumps, I have a question for you. Because when Howard showed it to me, he wasn't jumping the other day. So good job. Is he going to be able to clean those clouds?
What do you mean by that? Exactly?
I mean, like he's cleaning up garbage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that all he does, or does he do other things?
We're still exploring ideas for what he can do for the time being. But since you brought up the fact of the clouds and stuff like that, if I had to say, I believe we can implement the fact that he can clean clouds by programming of him when he jumps into the clouds, he can suck out of the pollution.
Yeah, I mean, you just they start out brown, they can end up
right. So I'm thinking we can implement that for our future. I'm gonna open up WordPad. So as you're talking to me, right? When you have questions and you have suggestions, I'm gonna add it in. I'm gonna take notes on it.
I like the art, by the way. I think the art's adorable.
Thank you. So one of the suggestions from, what's your name?
Olga.
Olga was making clouds brown.
I mean, because he's already jumping up in there, and
right, exactly. So
because I thought he was going to be like cleaning the clouds, but no, he's cute. I like him. I think he's sweet.
Yeah. Hope. His name is Hope, and when I saw to tell you the truth, when I first saw this game, I was very, very intrigued on how like you can make a game about recycling and stuff like that. And honestly, I really am glad to be working on it.
Yeah, it's sweet looking. What kind of bosses are you thinking about?
Bosses wise, I think I can answer that for you. Just give me a sec. We're thinking of bosses of where like the big bad monster or whatever we got coming up is basically threatening to Hope with the fact that he's cleaning up the world and stuff like that, and the pollution. And the big bad boss wants to keep the pollution in the air. He wants to keep the world polluted for being clean. So the idea is we're going to have these water bottles that he's picking up, right? And he's going to be throwing them at the boss.
Okay.
And as he's picking up the bottles, basically the bottles that you collected are going to be the bottles that you use against the boss. Basically, You draw a bottle, water splashes out of it, and it hits him, and it hits him, and it hits him. We're also working on adding an HP bar to help as well, and we're working on a spawn system. So we got a lot of stuff that we're working on right now, and we're trying to really crank up the process as well. In the process.
Can I say some things?
Yeah.
I'm really interested in sort of the concept that you've got here, and it sounds like you're fooling around with a lot of different ideas. Is that accurate? Right?
Yes, it is accurate. We're fooling around with ideas that we're thinking of.
Yeah.
That we're thinking of implementing. We're trying to figure out what to implement and stuff like that. I included text for Hope as well, because we had somebody create text for Hope, and I implemented it in a game. So, but right now someone else is working on trying to get it popped up onto the screen right now. So that's why I'm working at. So, but the basic thing is, we were able to speed up the process because we got Hope to jump and move around more fluently and stuff like that, which I was really happy about. Because that was my first assignment that I did, was to get Hope to jump and to move.
I really like the movement looks great. Like I love the art is a lot of fun. I think that the idea of like using bottles as kind of collecting ammo seems a little bit. It kind of seems a little bit tired to me, and I don't think that it serves kind of the concept that you've got, like the recycling here. And so what I might suggest instead, or as an idea to sort of feed off of, is if your at least your small bosses are kind of like made of trash and you're trying to clean them up, and kind of like one of the things you can do is knock trash off of them to collect it, and so it's kind of a battle of attrition.
So basically,
that's a good idea.
Small bosses that pollute trash.
Or so like small bosses that are made of like cans. They're made of cans and bottles and stuff, and they're just like.
Okay, I see where you're
going. And you like smack them around, and like bits fly off, and then you can collect the pieces.
And then you can collect exactly. Yeah.
So, I guess this is just me overthinking things, but do the bosses have to be sentient?
What do you mean by that exactly?
I mean, like the whole thing is about cleaning up pollution and whatnot, and I mean, I kind of get the whole 2D platformer sort of trope of like having something at the end of the stage, like some sort of final showdown, but at least how it feels right now, it doesn't feel like that kind of game, and that like yes, there's not all the features that you're all thinking of is like completely fleshed out yet and all that, but I just kind of wonder if there's a better use for the bottles than just that ammo. Well, as Tim said before, but like, because I was imagining you're collecting them for a purpose that is maybe
more altruistic
instead of destructive. Like maybe like you mentioned before how you just got air control working. Maybe at the start of the game you only can jump up and stuff, but you collect bottles and then you make a little jetpack and then you can do air control.
Like abilities and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the more I think about it, I think what people are saying, it's got such a gentle vibe to it right now already, which I really like. It's nice, and you don't need a big boss at the end.
Yeah,
and I think what Tim said about if you want some smash 'em up action, I think having a series of smaller bosses that turn into garbage that you can then pick up is more manageable from a first project standpoint. Number one, because you can like have different. It's basically one enemy, and you can give him different kinds of garbage, and he looks like different enemies. It's like one mechanic that happens, and it fits in with the gentle vibe. So you're not putting that stuff back out into the environment. You're taking all the nasty things from the environment and you're sucking them up into your beautiful little heart, and you're cleaning everything up. And That's it. It doesn't have to be more than that. I think that's just nice. And your scoring can be how quickly can you clean up the environment and make it beautiful.
Right. And we're still working on level layouts and stuff like that. So basically that's why we, at the end, you couldn't see I was moving and stuff like that. We're still working on the level layouts and stuff like that. But
I think the art is adorable and it's just so charming. It's just sweet. And
it just feels like.
Go ahead.
It just feels like, I don't know. When I heard about boss battles, I'm just like, I don't know. This guy looks cute.
I don't see this little guy like dismembering anybody.
I mean, to be fair, Kirby is also a character that is adorable and does have boss battles, and they are really scary boss battles sometimes. But it just doesn't, like, you're collecting trash and doing good for the environment. I'm just like, oh.
But I think again, going back to what the guys were telling me, I think you've got. What you're saying, now I'm giving you the same advice back. You started out having two things going on, and I'm seeing those two because it's not my own work. I'm seeing those things going on. And I think by far what you've already built, and conceptually the strongest theme, in my opinion, is what you've built now, which is this idea of healing, of making whole, of making better.
Right.
And I think I would keep going with that and not worry about a boss at the end. Worry about making sure that everything is clean and have a series of little bosses that you just keep cleaning everybody up.
I mean, it could also, like, the challenge could just be, like, the environment, like the level design. Like, you all are working on the level design next. Maybe think about
how grungy that environment.
Yeah, how to challenge the player in a way that isn't just basically fighting something. And I think it'll be a much more interesting and more on theme.
Well, who was it that said you could build a jetpack? I mean, because again, more challenging levels, you might need to cobble something together to go clean those extra hard to get places.
Right.
I think that was
I think it was a combination of ideas.
Yeah.
One of the things that I wanted to suggest, kind of riffing on Oliver's, was like, do you even need a boss? Or a sentient boss in particular? Do you know the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
Personally, do I know it? What?
No, I personally do not know about that.
Look it up.
It's horrible. Yeah.
It'll give you some amazing food for thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that's great.
Giant. It's basically it's this giant floating island of plastic in the middle of the Pacific. It's like all our garbage is ending up in the middle of the Pacific, and it's choking the life out of it.
Actually, the land being your boss, like the land itself being the big bad, like, is really an interesting idea.
Yeah, that's compelling.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
what's the name of the game? There was this game of, I forget the name. It was about Mars.
Mass Effect, something like.
No. It was like it was a 2D game, but you're in a cave in Mars and you have to create biomes. It's like, it was so good.
Waking Mars.
That's it. What a great game. But it's kind of got that same, I'm bringing life to something, and you go into these dead spaces and you have to bring them to life. It's has any of you played it?
It sounds really interesting, and now I'm looking it up.
It is. It's a great game. It's a great game. It is so fun. I mean, I played it for hours. I would go play it again right now because you just.
So from what I'm getting from you guys, with the ideas that you're giving me and stuff, and you're giving Howard and me too, is we can have hope. We don't have to have big boss battles. We can have small bosses and stuff like that. And with the abilities that Howard can get from picking up the bottles, like he can create a jetpack from bottles. He can, create like a double jump from bottles.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. And basically, we don't even have to have bosses. We can have the land itself be the boss with the level layouts on what's going on, with how bad the world gets and stuff like that. Because
Yeah. Oh, another one. There's another. Well, it's more of a robot thing. That's he doesn't really do cleaning up there. I forget.
when I saw Hope, I really did think of him as Kirby. I am not gonna lie to you on that.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think that it's, like Tim said, it's kind of a trope. You go along your 2D little thing, and then at the end there's something big, and you got to beat it up. It's been done. You don't need to do it again. I mean, if it fits with what you want, then by all means do it again. But it seems like you're trying to force it in there.
Then
you've got such a conceptually different basis already. Right. Go with that. It's great. I think we're all
it's original, and it's sweet, and it's great, and I think it's far more interesting than having a big bad at the end. I mean, I think you can do a lot more with it.
Right, and not that I think about it, along with with what you guys been saying, and looking back at the game now, it really does bring out more of that original feel to it. So, like I said, after tonight, I'm probably gonna discuss it with our group about how we can incorporate the ideas that you're giving us, and basically make this game more original than trying to force ideas.
So are you guys doing all your classes online right now?
Yes, I am. The group is doing their classes online, so we essentially have more time to work on a game. And we're gonna try to work on it a lot more.
Are you talking with each other? I mean, like, are you getting together?
We plan meetings out for. So here's how we do it. Howard gives us objectives to do by a certain due date. By that due date that comes, we talk about what we did, what coding we did, what animations we did, and stuff like that. And we see the errors that we've committed, or that basically we present our code in a way, and we talk about it on what we get done. And if we get that stuff done, we move on from it pretty much. Howard, am I right on that?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it looks good. I think it's got a lot of potential, but I just don't make him a meanie, make him a dreamy.
So yeah, we're messing around with a lot of ideas right now, and now that I think about it, this game is honestly really unique from what I've came across. It's honestly
check out Waking Mars, because you're crash landed, your station blows up on, well, no, it does, well, that's not really true. That all of a sudden there's an earthquake, okay? So Mars, there's something going on, and you're on this station on Mars, and you fall down into this cave, and you've got these spores, and you have to plant them and cultivate them and make sure that they're happy, and there's some eat other things, and you're creating a biome, and as the biome becomes, once there's enough biodiversity in that biome, you can move on to the next biome. So, it's all about sort of creating levels and evenness, and just being mindful about the balance that that's the vibe I'm getting here.
Right. Anybody else have any other questions or ideas they would like to show?
No, I think we're done. I think you're the last one.
I actually did have one comment, sorry. I would just zoom out the camera a little bit.
Camera?
So like when you're playing, you're super zoomed in. It's nice to zoom out just a little bit so you can see a bit more in the environment, especially when you're jumping and if you're going to have obstacles and stuff. You don't want to hop onto an obstacle when you're in the air, and you want to be able to see what's around you when you're jumping and when you're walking. So you're not like
just make a square a bit bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so zoom out the camera a little bit more.
Either zoom out or like just nudge it up a little more.
All right, so mess around with Canva.
I think just finding the right balance, and especially if it's going to be focusing more on the platforming aspect. If you're going to be getting rid of like enemies or bosses or stuff, is pretty much just going to focus on how well you can platform and jump around and avoid things and do all that stuff. So you really want to know where you're going to go.
So the notes that I got from all of you guys was making clouds bounce so he sucks out the pollution, abilities from bottles, the land itself, basically connect the land as the boss, but not actually having boss battles. I'm gonna look Waking Mars because that concept really did interest in me, and I feel like we can incorporate it in the game and mess around with the camera.
Yeah, but you guys, I love it. I think it's great.
I'll definitely.
When Howard showed it to me, I'm like, oh, I want to see more of this.
So as of right now, we have a lot more time since we're doing online classes. So
Yeah, look, Michael, we do these feedback forums every few months.
Mm-hmm.
Next time, are you a member of the IGDA NYC, or you're a member of the Hunter group, right?
Yes, I am. I'm a member of esports.
So you get the newsletter, right?
Yes, I do.
So next time you see a feedback forum, whether it's live or whether whether it's live or whether we're still doing it here, just sign up, do it. I'd love to see this progress. I mean, that's one of the nice things about this is that we can all as a group kind of watch these projects go and give our feedback on them. So yeah, I think you guys are off to a great start here. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to say before we close this out?
No, but yeah, good luck. Like it's
you.
really coming together, and I think that I share Olga's enthusiasm of I think this is gonna be something very interesting and very unique.
Yeah.
Right, because how I got into this group was I was looking to see if Hunter had any game programming groups because I had experience with programming. I started out programming when I was in high school. Then I moved up. I learned HTML. I learned CSS. I've learned JavaScript. I've learned C#. I've learned Python. So basically, I've started coding for a good few years. I've been coding for a good few years now. I'm glad I was able to show this game to you all.
Yeah, cool.
Glad to see it.
All right, everybody, I'm going to end the meeting. I think I enjoyed myself. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself, and stay tuned next month. Just to give you a brief thing, Jasmine is going to be taking the lead on this. We're going to try to do something on Discord where people can show off their projects. So stay tuned for that. We will give you more information as it's available.
Have a good night, guys.